They can hurt you, they can kill you. It's a big deal. Trees have a lot of energy built up in them whenever they have, you know, certain forces acting upon them. So this is what a barber chair looks like. I was just gonna go around and show you guys a couple of the projects that I have and what we're gonna be cutting, some of the firewood that we have down, and I'll just run through and give you guys some shots of that. First, we gotta let the chickens out. Okay, so we maintained the chainsaw yesterday. We just did a basic cleanup, got it sharpened, and it's ready to go out into the field. So I wanted to bring you guys out here and show you a shot of the fence line, or the power line, the tree line of the woods. It's basically, we've got, as you can see here, this here used to be the tree line. Sorry, it's a little chilly out, my hands are shaking. So that used to be the tree line, and as you can see, I've obviously cleared it back quite a ways. Now we do have a few trees like this giant triple maple here that we're gonna have to do something with. As you can see there in the distance, we've got that big honey locust right there, and that's definitely leaning heavily over that line. So I just wanted to show you guys that shot. We're on the far end of the farm, so just beyond these weeds here behind me, and that telephone pole there is a road. See a small building there in the distance. That's on the next neighbor's property, but that's that. So as you can see, you know, there's been quite a bit of work done, but still quite a bit of work to do. I don't have everything I need right now to be climbing trees safely, so that's something that I'm gonna stay away from. I do have on the list of gear for the farm to get all of the proper equipment to climb trees safely, so that way we can manage all of the trees that we have here on the property. So that's something to look forward to in future videos. We're definitely going to keep all of these big, large, mature trees that are well away from the power line. We want to make sure that those do good. This is a different shot of the big honey locust that's impeding on the power line. As you can see, it's a pretty large tree. There's the telephone pole in the background for reference. So yeah, that's something that we're mildly concerned with. So if we go just over here, we've got the sweet gum that I dropped a few weeks back. We've got it topped off, and we've got the log laying here. So it's got a pretty decent log on it. I'm just gonna experiment with some different hand cutting techniques with the chainsaw. So, you know, I do my best to have a reason for cutting down a tree. I mean, you can see here, this tree was, you know, it had some age to it. It had some growth. So, you know, this tree provides really immense soil structure. It really helps the other trees around it with the root system. The root systems get interconnected, and the trees can provide nutrients to each other, which is really cool. So like I said, I like to have a specific reason. As the rooster cues in the background, I decide to, you know, not cut down a tree just for no reason. We want to make sure that we have a good reason for the things that we do. So as you can see here, just on the other side of the sweet gum log, we've got this tree that I dropped down here, and I'll take you guys over and show you the reason why I cut this tree down. I mean, in modern day, we have enough technology that we don't necessarily need to cut firewood, but sometimes in rural communities, it's just what makes the most sense. So I'll flip the camera around and you guys can see, obviously there was something That's back where we were just standing. There was something that happened to this tree in the past. Either a branch broke off or something happened, and it, you know, it's completely rotted out the inside of this tree. So yeah, you know, like I said, we've got to have a reason for the stuff that we do. You know, it's got to make sense. It's got to be efficient. It's got to be effective. We should have purpose. We should think about the things that we do before we do them. You know, when it comes to farming, when it comes to taking care of the land, when it comes to taking care of animals, you know, you want to think ahead. You want to be, you know, as productive as possible. You want to be efficient with your time. So as you can see here, this tree's already been processed and cut up. It was an old purple post, but we decided it was leaning towards the power lines, or just under the power lines. So that's already been cut up for firewood. As you can see, that chicken there is making use of it as a stand. The tree just behind it here is still intact, and it is going to need to be cut up for firewood. This may look familiar. I did do a previous video where I cut this tree up. So in that footage there, this tree, I've aimed it, you know, to drop it in the general direction of the power line. But this guy here, they were all tied together. So as you can see, this tree made quite the incredible jump off of that stump. You know, it was aimed in that direction, just on the right side of the barn. It got hung up in this tree on its way down. You know, it kind of did a twist and leaned over. So you never know which way things are going to go. So count on your skills, count on your knowledge, but also realize that sometimes we don't know. We've got a couple more trees here that got laid down. Those were this guy and that guy. Got some barbed wire down at the base. That's why I decided to cut a little bit higher. These trees here, this little cluster, I'm kind of on the fence. You know, I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not I want to cut these down. They are fused together at the base, unfortunately. So that's kind of a tricky situation. We've got 4 canopies coming together in this little cluster here. So, but they are fairly close to the power line. So we're gonna have to figure out something to do with these. So this leaner here, honey locust. This will probably go down eventually. As you can see, we'll hold the stick up there for the best reference we can get. You know, it's got a pretty heavy lean to it. So we will probably do a video on how to drop a tree that has a lean, because there is a specific technique called a plunge cut that you can use to effectively get that tree on the ground. We've got a few more trees right here around the bend. We've got some big chunks here that we've cut up from some different trees. That's where we're burning this fence line off. So yeah, those chunks will need to be cut up a little bit yet for firewood. As you can see right here, we've got this tree where the root ball has started to come out of the ground, and then it was caught by a few smaller trees underneath it. So they held that tree up and allowed it to continue growing. Okay, so we started the video just on the other side of that barn back in the distance. So as you can see, in this area here, we've cleared quite a bit. There were some really nasty trees. We had several sassafras trees that had died, so we cut all of those down. And then I had several big old locust trees that we had to cut down that were dead. And this is one of those there. So that's been cut up into chunks. Still need to cut a few pieces up. We've got some stumps through here that we have left. We've got, if you look, got that stump there. You can see that was just totally rotted out. That's just literally composted soil at the base of that. So yeah, got, you know, these stumps here. So we'll flush cut those all to the ground. We'll get those low so they're not a tripping hazard. I am gonna leave some of the deadfall. So like this old dead tree here that has all this moss growing on it, I'm definitely gonna keep that for the forest soil bed. We don't want to take all of the organic matter out of the forest. You know, we want to make sure that we have a healthy, happy balance. So this is another dead locust tree that we had. As you can see, it was long since hollowed out and split. So we dropped that one down the hill. Fortunately, we made it between the goalposts, and we did little to no damage except for that small branch there on the bottom. We're here to create, you know, biodiversity and create a healthy environment for the creatures, for us, for everybody. You know, it's good for the earth, it's good for everyone. As you can see, you know, there's a few dead trees left back through here. So some of these, you know, if they're easy to cut up, we'll cut them up and, you know, chunk them out for some dead firewood that'll burn easy. So we've got a pile back here that you can see where I've just started piling some stuff up. Got a dead tree here that came down actually on its own. I started cutting the top half up, and then as you can see, there's some firewood chunked up here. That's been dead for a while, so it's going to be pretty easy to split. This is another locust that was dead. I believe it's a locust. So as you can see, if I go down the hill here, this is the top right here that's still left. I haven't fence posted that out of that tree yet, but that is the plan. We got to try to get that guy unstuck from there. But that was actually a blowdown, so that tree was attached to that stump there, and it blew down and was up in the air suspended, and it was trapped up there in the crotch of that tree. So we mitigated that. Unfortunately, I didn't really have the thought to put it on video yet, so unfortunately I didn't get that one on video. But we'll have more hazard trees in the future, so we'll be able to do that. So yeah, I've got one or two more spots that I'm going to show you guys, and then we'll be wrapped up for what the firewood projects and everything look like for us. There's another dead one that we just laid down the hill. And then here's the shot that I promised you guys before of the tree that I broke over the top of that one that's leaning sideways. There's that one that's leaning sideways, and as you can see, this thing was definitely very, very dead. I am gonna save that tree that's leaning. We're gonna do our best to keep that. I think it's kind of a cool looking tree. There's no reason. It's still growing, and it has been for several years, so we're gonna let it keep going. I'm gonna do a quick shot that I've got here close of a barber chair. Then I'm gonna do a video specifically on hazard trees and barber chairs and things to look out for. And so that'll be in a future video, but I did want to give you, since I'm right here, I'll give you a quick shot of what that barber chair looks like. I did this in a totally controlled environment. I knew what I was doing. I knew the tree was going to barber chair, so it was totally safe. It's not that big of a deal. It was a small tree. I was anticipating everything. Barber chairs are a very big deal, however. So if you're not anticipating them and they catch you by surprise, they can seriously injure you. They can damage your equipment, they can hurt you, they can kill you. It's a big deal. Trees have a lot of energy built up in them whenever they have, you know, certain forces acting upon them. So this is what a barber chair looks like. As you can see, it's split this tree in half. Now this tree was arched over, so it had been growing. It had a tree that fell on it, and it had been growing in that arch. All I did was I came in with my saw and I made a back cut. I didn't face cut it on purpose, so that way the barber chair would happen, because I wanted to be able to have this visual representation of what a barber chair is, so that way I can teach people in a future video what a barber chair is, what to look out for, and what not to do. As you can see, this old tree here, the bark's completely peeling off of it, and that one's definitely dead. So we'll go ahead and lay that one down here on the trail one day, and that'll turn into firewood too. Did a previous video where I dropped a hollow sycamore, and then we had another sycamore that had blown down in a storm that had been dead out in the woods for, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years roughly, and that was right next to it. And then whenever I was doing the prescribed burn, unfortunately both of the trees caught on fire. So in that video, the inside of the tree was smoking. As you can see, that's this one right here. So there's my face cut and my back cut. As you can see, the tree was totally hollow, totally hollowed out tree. These little marks on the front side, I was cleaning my chain off a bit, and then I cut just a vent hole so that way it would maybe burn more. As you can see, This is the sycamore that was completely hollowed out. So what had happened probably was that there was a branch that broke off, or some sort of injury happened to the tree. The tree had a pocket where water built up, and then the tree just completely rotted from the inside out over the years of that water building up on the inside. Eventually the tree got weak and we had a wind event and it blew down. So this tree was standing about 10 or 11 feet tall, and then it was just snapped off. And then it was, you know, like as you can see in the background, just laying there. I do want to give you guys a quick sneak peek to another video dealing with extreme tension, specifically when trees fall on other trees. So there's a term in the tree world called a spring pole, and I have got quite the spring pole loaded here. As you can see, we've got about I don't know, probably a solid 8-inch tree that's completely bent over. I mean, we've got that whole sycamore laying on top of it. Part of why I started this YouTube channel was to take some of the knowledge that I've been able to collect over the years and turn it into you know, videos to teach people how to be safe and how to be effective whenever they're doing, you know, technical stuff. So that's what we're going to do with that tree. We're still right here by the big dead hollow sycamore, and we've got another sycamore. It's pretty good size. I'd call it 90 feet. I don't have a laser, so don't quote me. But as you can see, down here at the bottom, we've got a little cubby hole. Sorry, I had to break a stick there. Got a little cubby hole where a critter could live. But unfortunately, that means that that tree is eventually going to weaken and it's going to fall, just like this other one did. So we might have to cut this one down in the future, so that way we control where it falls and it doesn't fall onto other healthy trees and injure them and then cause them to weaken in the future. All right, it's evening time. It's time to put the chickens up. Come on. All right, well, that's the evening chores. Everything's wrapped up until tomorrow. The chickens are put up, and I showed you guys all the firewood that we've got to cut up, so that'll probably be the next project that we start working on, actually. I want to get at least all of the big firewood projects cleared up, so that way I can start finishing off the fence line project that's underneath the power line. I'm getting okay at editing, so I feel a little bit more confident with my ability there. So be sure to like the videos if you're enjoying them. Be sure to subscribe and leave some comments below. Let us know what you think. If you got any ideas on what you want to see on the channel, we'd love to hear what you have to say. So we'll catch you on the next one. Be safe, guys.